Welcome to the Fibro Man channel. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you subscribing and liking the videos. Today we're going to take a look at tackling worry and anxiety. What's the difference between worry and anxiety? Worry tends to be more focused on thoughts in our heads, while anxiety is more widespread. We feel it throughout our bodies. This was taken from psychologytoday.com. 10 crucial differences between worry and anxiety. I want to share that with you here for a moment. So here we go. So, well, let's help if we start at number one. So, number one, again, I already mentioned that we tend to experience worry in our heads and anxiety in our bodies. If you decide to pause the video, you can kind of read through this. I'm not going to read through all of it except for the highlighted, the bold part for most of this. Number two is worry tends to be specific, while anxiety is more diffuse or again more longer lasting and widespread. Number three, worry is verbally focused, while anxiety includes verbal thoughts and mental imagery. Okay. Number four is worry often triggers problem solving, but anxiety does not. Number five, worry creates mild emotional distress. Anxiety can create severe emotional distress. Number six, worry is caused by more realistic concerns than anxiety. Number seven, worry tends to be controllable. Anxiety much less so. Number eight, worry tends to be a temporary state, but anxiety can linger. Number nine, worry doesn't impact our professional and personal functioning. Anxiety does. And number 10, worry is considered a normative psychological state, while anxiety is not. One of the paragraphs talked about the feeling of anxiety being like you're in a hamster wheel that just keeps turning and turning without making any progress. So get a chance, read through this article. Again, you can pause the video and read through that a little bit better. Let me take that off of there. This is my second time doing this because I forgot to take that off the screen. So please be patient with me. Some common phrases is don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff. Check out the story behind the book Don't Sweat the Small Stuff by Richard Carlson. The story is written in Psychology Today by Allison Carmen, and the story behind it is pretty amazing. She wrote the title of her story is How Can We Not Sweat the Big Stuff? I want to show that to you just so you can see, hang on a second, so you can see the website that it would be on. Okay. So there it is. So Psychology Today, and again, her article was, how can we not sweat the big stuff? But it's about the book, and it'd be a wonderful book to read. I would highly recommend that. Okay, make sure I'm still on there this time. Another phrase that I have heard is don't make a mountain out of a molehill. Another one is don't make something out of nothing. What other phrases can you come up with that you've heard, common phrases or maybe not so common, please feel free to share those. I would appreciate it. Some causes of stress that can lead to anxiety. I put a few things here. I believe 3 different things that I put. Number 1 is I put life. Just being alive means it's inevitable. In this life, we will have trouble, right? So how we deal with those situations plays a major role in our physical and mental health. Second thing I put is other people. Worrying too much about what other people think can be a source of tremendous amount of stress that can lead to anxiety. It's difficult sometimes not to worry about others' opinions. However, does it really matter what other people think? I would say most of the time no, but at the same time, you remember the old adage that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words could never hurt me, something like that. But anyways, if we're honest, for most of us, words can be very hurtful, and especially when we're younger, because we haven't developed those skills on how to effectively deal with those situations. But so, and also as people, people can be very judgmental without knowing all the facts, especially when it comes to our situation with chronic pain, because we deal with this invisible disease. And it would be difficult for me, I'm sure. That's one thing that I always say, that I've learned to love more, and I've learned to be a lot less judgmental because of what I've gone through with this this incredible chronic pain situation in my life. So I try to be a little more understanding of why other people may be judgmental, because what they see is invisible to them, and they may think we should be able to work or do this or do that, and the reality is that we can't. So I believe it depends on our age, maturity level, and personality type on how well we can block that out. There was a very godly lady once that told my wife and I, she said, take other people's opinions and advice, then do what you believe is best. I think that's wonderful advice, and very, very wise. So, another thing I put is, sometimes others can expect too much from us, especially in the condition that we're at, whatever it may be, or whenever it may be that we're going through this, which for most of us is probably like all the time. So again, they just don't understand the reality of the chronic condition and the limitations that it puts on us. The other thing that I put that can cause stress that leads to anxiety is ourselves, because sometimes we can be our own worst enemy, and we can expect too much out of ourselves when really we should there should be a limit, especially as I started getting into having chronic, this chronic condition. It's been years ago. I've been dealing with this for years now, but when it progressively started getting worse, and I would try to push myself so hard because I wanted to do the things that I used to be able to do, it really just created more flare-ups. It caused a lot more trouble than it was being beneficial, but I did that out of frustration. And in my life, my younger days, I've always worked hard and been very competitive, and been able to do more, and to be at a point in your life when your health changes can really be impactful on you, not just the physical part, but the mental part of it. So there comes a point in our lives, I believe, where my counselor called it radical acceptance. I think we got to be careful with that terminology because we always want some kind of improvement. But if you have a chronic condition, chronic means it's probably not going to go away, right? It's chronic. So once there's a realization of more of what we're dealing with, and that we know we can make these little improvements along the way, I believe it helps us more beneficial. And I've learned to look at other people who are able to do the things that I can't do, and I'm thankful that they can do those things. And I also realize that they shouldn't ever take that for granted. So anyways, there's a time to take care of ourselves, and many times, unfortunately, we wait too late, which results in negative effect on our health. So a funny quote that's out there is that other people's opinions are like armpits. Have you ever heard that one? So people have two of them, and they both stink. So please feel free to share some other sources of stress that can lead to anxiety, and please share any other quotes like that you may have that might be interesting. So here's the thing that I started wondering, and we've hit on this a little bit. So the question came up in my mind is, well, is stress and anxiety the same thing? So the answer to that is no. Stress is a normal response to a challenging situation or an event, while anxiety is a more persistent feeling of worry or fear that can occur even without a clear trigger, essentially being a heightened reaction to stress that can linger long after the stressful situation has passed, taken from the American Psychological Association. I'm going to make sure I'm still on this video here. There I am. Hi. Yeah, I'm crazy. Because that's what I did the last time. I still had the paper up from sharing my screen. So maybe I can get through this one. I live like that. It's terrible. I forget things within a few seconds sometimes. So thanks for being patient with me. So what can help? Here we go. I put being thankful for life that we have, trying to take our minds maybe where we're at in a difficult situation, if we're dealing with depression or whatever, and just kind of, there was a phrase that I heard, it's really good, it's blue and green should often be seen. So blue for the sky and green for the grass, being thankful for life and realizing that we're a part of this whole thing with life and nature and the world, and just kind of trying to get out of ourselves a little bit to see the big picture. The next thing I put was praise and thanksgiving. And the way I'd like to think about that is, like, have you ever had just wonderful customer service? I know it may be rare, but take the time and if we praise that person and we thank them for giving that kind of service, it does something special to us too, by encouraging somebody else, because we're so connected to each other more than we can ever realize. We get something in return for that. So, and then the other part of it, when someone else gives us praise or thanksgiving, it's very reciprocal. So the next thing I put was patience. That's a difficult one because someone said that they wanted patience, but they want it right now. That could be me. But, sometimes, things don't work out as quickly as we would like for them to. And some things just, as you well know, just take time. Next thing I put was practicing the things that we have learned that have helped us so far. Right now, I'm doing this video. For some reason, right now, you're watching this crazy guy doing this video. I know you're not supposed to use the word crazy, but my wife calls me that all the time. So, but anyways, we've done something, I guess, up to this point to be here. So let's think about the things that has helped us to get to this point and continue to do those things. Or if we've stopped, and especially if we've stopped doing some things that's helped us, we need to pick that back up again and start doing it. I also put accepting God's forgiveness. I think that forgiveness is huge. And one of the hardest things, I believe, sometimes is forgiving ourselves. But I think it's important to realize that nobody's perfect. There's nobody alive that hasn't made, that's lived on this earth that hasn't made some type of mistake, except for Jesus. So we'll follow him, but we can't live a perfect life like he did. So unfortunately, we put too much stress on ourselves sometimes, and we can be our own worst enemy. But the other thing that's part of that is forgiving others. So forgiving ourselves and forgiving others. So three parts of that: accepting God's forgiveness. If you're forgiven, it's forgotten. Number 2 is forgiving others. Number 3 is also forgiving ourselves. I don't know if there's a certain order to that, but I thought that made sense. So again, no one's perfect, but it's wonderful to be perfectly forgiven. And we can't control the other person, can we? If there's something that we're capable of forgiving, we can't control the other person's response, but we can certainly control our offering of forgiveness. So anyways, the next thing I put was use reasoning. And the next point kind of goes with that. It's use reasoning, but the second part was don't, and I don't really like this word because it's hard to say, don't catastrophize, which basically means catastrophizing is causing cognitive distortion, and it ramps up anxiety. It's thinking irrationally about a situation. And I'll tell you, I heard a story about a young lady who was standing beside the road and just bawling her eyes out. And when someone approached her to see what the matter was, she replied, "I was standing here thinking someday I would have a child, and that child would grow up and be crossing this same road and be hit and killed by a car." That is catastrophizing. I know that sounds bizarre, but to some extent, I believe we all do that. I mean, that's a pretty extreme example, but decatastrophizing would be more thinking more reasonably about a situation. A lot of times, if we're honest, we'll create that stress sometimes by worrying about something that percentage-wise, or stressing over that percentage-wise we really never needed to be stressed about it in the first place. Of course, hindsight's always 20/20, but I believe there's a good lesson there. I also put breathing exercises. Doing Tai Chi is really good. You can incorporate those together. There's some good breathing exercises on YouTube. And Tai Chi. Tai Chi gets your movement going, even if you can only do a little bit of it. Any bit of movement is certainly better than none. So check that out. Another thing I put is take one day at a time and try to focus more on the here and now, especially with dealing with fibromyalgia and brain fog. Man, multiple things could just not work out very well. It could just be way too overwhelming. So if we can try to focus on one thing, or one day at a time especially, is good. And whatever we can accomplish that day, whether it's big or small, just be thankful for whatever we're able to do that day. I also put love one another. That's something else that's in our control. Love is so powerful, and we're so connected to each other. And when we do that, it just makes things so much better. And I believe that we can make this world better, each one of us, as we love one another and care about each other. Next thing I put was counseling. And when I went through counseling, it had the good and the bad. We would do like an hour session many times. I'll be honest, that was just too overwhelming. Bringing up too much in the past can be too overwhelming. My counselor was really good though, and but I expressed those things to him, and he would help me to kind of minimize our time a little bit, and also try to focus on the things that we can do to make improvements along the way with where I was at. So use your best judgment there, but don't be afraid to get counseling or ashamed of it, and make sure you speak up and be honest about what's working and what is not, and make sure to take notes. Also put medicine management. Medicine management can play a huge role in kind of getting you out of the depression mode. Could help with anxiety. Please talk to your doctor and get recommendations on that, and be educated about the medicine, and make sure other people are aware that you're taking something, because there can be some negative side effects, as I mentioned in the last video. So sometimes it's a long road finding out what really works and what doesn't. I put find something that you simply enjoy doing to take your mind off of other things. Arts and crafts, photography, music. I like to do word searches that a gentleman that's so nice who subscribes to my channel called it doing mindless things. So that's a perfect example of switching that, trying to switch that to something else by just doing something that doesn't take a whole lot of thinking, and it's not going to create more worry that could lead to stress and anxiety. So other thing I put is be more social. Find ways to be around people who are in a positive environment and who will be supportive. I realize sometimes that you just have to be secluded, but I also think there's a danger of remaining there, because we really need each other in this life. We need that, again, positive support and encouragement, and the opportunity for us to support and encourage others. The last thing that I put was be as active as we can. I have a lady that has chronic pain condition, and most of the times when I see her, she'll say, "If you don't use it, you lose it." And yeah, I know what she's talking about, because if you don't try to be active, it creates a deterioration of your muscles, and it has negative effects with your mind too. So we think about it in both of those ways, so that we find something to continue to do, continue to learn, even if it's just something small, or we may be very limited with what we're able to do, and some days may be better than others. So make sure that we learn to cut yourself some slack, so we don't be too hard on ourselves. So listen, thank you for joining me. I'm not sure if anyone will watch this whole video. It's kind of long, shorter I think than the first time. But anyways, thank you for subscribing and for your likes. I try to do a short video a short video every day just to offer some encouragement, and just remember that we're in this together, to love and encourage and support one another. So take good care of yourself. This is Fibro Man signing out. Until next time.